5:30 in the morning. I'm just having coffee so far. And I just I watched I watched a report last night that Fidel Biden uh, has signed a new law that declares that the cough is over. So on that's brilliant on Barack's behalf to suggest to him to do that. The reason being is that there are trillions of unspent dollars in the uh, coffers. Pardon my pun. So by declaring an end to the pandemic, they can misappropriate those funds and use them for something else, probably for WAR. They can misappropriate those funds, and nobody's the wiser. And it's a double slam, because if there is no pandemic considered, if it's considered to be no pandemic anymore, then that means that Title 42 doesn't apply. And if Title 42 doesn't apply, that means that Fidel Biden can flood the southern border with all of the people that he wants in order to further deconstruct this country. Now, I have no problem at all with people coming here that are well intentioned, that want a better life and want to come and work and contribute to the American, dream. I don't have any problem with that. And I'm not snobbish. I speak a good deal of Hindi. I speak Spanish. So I don't have any problem, with that. But the fact of the matter is, just like when President Carter opened up the flood doors during his administration, we got all of these people from Haiti, and the people came over, and many of them were HIV positive, and it just poured gasoline on the AIDS crisis back then. So we're going through this all over again. People are coming from all over the world, and tuberculosis is coming back, and measles and smallpox, and all of these things that were eliminated in the United States are coming back now. Particularly tuberculosis, when all of these people come and they're crammed together in a little space. I know that for a fact, because when I worked for the trash company in Washington, my boss was Hispanic, and he came over to America in the back of a tractor trailer. And he said that he was packed in that tractor trailer with 80 or 90 other people, and the women were getting RAPED, and some of the men were getting RAPED. And if they had to go to the bathroom, they had to go into a corner of the trailer and drop their drawers, to go to the bathroom. And it was hot, and they were being cooked inside the trailer. And I'll tell you, he was in his 30s. I would say like 34 or maybe even late 20s. And he went right to the top of the company because he would work so hard. He would literally have fainting days where he would pass out from working so hard. And one of the men came in, one of the supervisors came into my office, and he told me that he had maybe inherited money or something like that, and that he had $70,000 and he wanted to start a new company. He wasn't feeling particularly well that day. He was a young man with diabetes. So Mike comes into my office and he sits down, and he had skin tags all over his neck, which is a sign of diabetes. When your body has high sugar and high insulin, you get these skin tags all over your face and your neck and everything. And he was just loaded with them. And so I said, Mike, I want to take your pulse. I took his pulse, and his heartbeat was 120 beats per minute. It was double what it should have been. I said, Mike, you're sitting here resting in this chair, but your heart thinks that you're jogging around the block. So to your heart, it's no different than jogging around the block. You're that exhausted. And he said, well, I got to do this. I said, Mike, when you came to this company, did you make a vow like a wedding vow, till death do us part? Are you trying to work yourself to death? Because I said, you're on the way. You're on the way. And I told him, I said, you need some rest, you need some vitamins, you need to get your sugar under control. And you don't need to take that $70,000 and buy a dump truck and try and start your own company and end up losing that money. And unfortunately, he didn't take that part of the advice because his wife wanted him out of the house. She wanted him working. Even though they had $70,000 built up, she wasn't happy. She wanted him working, And I remember he brought his son to the company, and one day his son messed up, and Mike took a 2x4 and he beat his son in front of all of the other men. He beat his son with the 2x4 for some small indiscriminate, foul up, for embarrassing him. So I told him, right now, Mike, I said, your heart is beating so fast that it can't effectually move the blood from chamber to chamber, that it's quivering. And I said, you need to sit here and you need to breathe and relax and stop thinking about this company. I said, because the boss isn't thinking about you. If you fall out, he'll get somebody in a moment, in a heartbeat, literally. So Mike took part of my advice and he retired from the company. He was also being hassled by the supervisor that used to pick on me. This guy acted like he was in NCIS, and he would, every time he'd go past me, he'd take his clipboard and smack me in the back of the head in front of the men and disrespect me. And I told him, I said, Donald, when you do that, it makes it harder for me to handle the men because you're disrespecting me in front of the men. And I said, I'm going to tell you something. Someday when you hit me, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go down to the police station and I'm going to have you arrested, which is what I did ultimately. Uh, one day when he got mad and he pushed me and knocked me into a desk, and the desk went over with me and the computer on the desk and everything. Nobody ever thought that that was something wrong about him, you know. So I got up, I went right down to the police station, and that turned into a fiasco because that was in June. And then by August, I got a summons to go to court where he turned around and blamed me, for having pushed him, because the boss's niece, she played the race card and she made it into a black-white thing, which was unfortunate. It was unfortunate because rather than sticking with the truth, she decided that she was defending the family by telling a lie on me. And I learned a great lesson that it's better just to leave it alone rather than being dragged into court and being falsely accused and everything. But the guy cost me my pension and everything from knocking me down that day. But in any case, El Presidente signed this declaration that the cough is over. So that's going to allow them to spend the trillions of dollars that haven't been spent on the pandemic, on this WAR. So all that money will go out the country. And the hypocrisy of it is that they're arraigning the past president over misappropriation of $130,000, but they're technically misappropriating trillions of dollars via this declaration that he signed that's going to take effect in May. And the other thing about it is not only will that put an end to Title 42, it's a brilliant move. And like I said, I believe that Barack Obama is behind it, since he's running things as a shadow government. But it might force the state of Texas to secede from the Union. Texas has gold, they have their own resources, they have oil, they have their own electrical infrastructure. So if you don't know, fam, Texas used to be their own country, and they're mulling it over that they might go that way again and declare themselves to be a country. If that happens, the Iron Eagle, which is us, the Iron Eagle would lose the GDP from Texas, which would be a big chunk out of our nation's GDP. But see, states like Texas and Florida are sick and tired of being fiscally responsible and then having to essentially pay into the system to cover states that are not fiscally responsible, like California and New York. So we're going to see some very interesting times in the days and months and years ahead, fam. I believe that if that happens, that Trump might become the president of New Texas. So I know you're saying that's impossible. It's not that impossible. The only area of Texas that would be against it would be Austin. Austin is where all the progressives in Texas live. So I don't know how I don't know how that would turn out. But it's just interesting when I saw the article and I saw absolutely how much more our nation is deconstructing. I got to go take my heart medicine. This cough is what's called a cardiac cough, and it's when the heart doesn't pump the lungs out fast enough and the fluid in the lungs builds up and it's very uncomfortable and everything else. So I have to go take my morning heart medicine. And I thank God for another day. I thank God for all of you, especially those of you that have been so generous by clicking on my Amazon link and getting me various and sundry things that I've needed that I haven't been able to afford since my since my dollars have been cut back $294 and my rent went up 200 and then inflation on top of that. So I am grateful when you all go to my Amazon link and help me out with diapers and piddle pads and all of that other awful stuff that old people need as they're slowly slipping into their demise. But I'm in the winter of life. Life went by very fast, young people. It went by like a day. So in these times, again, I'll stress, and I'm sorry I don't have puppies and clowns and kittens and balloons on my channel. You have to be right with God. You have to be physically fit. You have to have your food and water put aside. And you have to have a bug out bag. That's a grab and go bag that if things happen catastrophically in your area, you can grab that backpack and leave and go someplace else, over to a relative's or a friend's place, to chill while things blow over. And you have to practice a day off grid without using the electricity from the line. You have to essentially practice camping out, using a portable toilet and all that other stuff. So when the day comes and there's no electricity and there's no water, that you're already used to camping out, so to speak. Summer's coming. It's supposed to be one of the hottest summers on record. So you need to get your summer supplies ready. You need to put bags of rice in the freezer to use as cold packs. You need to get some commercial cold packs, the ones that you squeeze and burst and they turn cold for 20 minutes. You need to learn skills like taking beach towels, wetting them down with water and hanging them in the doorway so that the breeze will cool the room down that way. Old skills that go back to my day and age. You have to learn food preservation, without refrigeration. When all of this stuff happens, fam, I believe the Bible is literal when it says destruction comes in an hour. The trap is slowly closing. And when it finally goes, it's going to go fast. And you need to be ready. If you're in mommy and daddy's basement playing video games, waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, you're not going to make it. Anyway, I got to go. I love you, fam. God loves you more. Poppity Pop Pops out.